guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, I, a 37-year-old male, heard my girlfriend, a 28-year-old female, saying something really hurtful about me to her friend, and I'm doubting how good our relationship is over it. And guys, what we have here is a story about a guy he is 9 years older than his girlfriend, and he sees himself in a place that he got himself a really good deal with this girl. And in his mind, everything's going well with their relationship. It sounds like he's starting to get serious with her. And then one night, he fell asleep early and woke up and heard his girlfriend having a conversation with her friend who was hanging out at the house, pretty much admitting that she settled for him, right? And telling her girlfriend who was having some trouble with the guys, pretty much she should do that too and go out, try out guys that she would normally not give the time of day for. And so, as you can imagine, he's thinking, what the hell? He thought everything was great and then finds out that she settled for him. So as you can imagine, it really was like taking a baseball bat in the stomach. And so this whole thing is about him, obviously, what he's thinking about this whole situation and confronting her about it. And I'm doing this, guys. I've done videos like this before and stories like this before, just to show you guys that by and large, most women settle, okay? And so for a lot of you guys now that are maybe in your 30s and 40s, and maybe when you were younger, girls wouldn't give you the time of day. You were the low man on the totem pole. But now you're in your 30s and 40s, and all of a sudden, women that would normally never give you the time of day, all of a sudden seem interested in you. You really have to question things, whether she's actually interested in you or she's settling. And a majority of the time, they're settling, okay? And a lot of guys don't want to hear that. And at the end of this story, by the way, guys, I'm going to read some of the comments from the comment sections because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of guys that are on this guy's side, as well as women, but there's also a lot of guys that are not on this guy's side. And in my opinion, they're probably some of these guys that probably don't even want to think that their girls or wives settled for them. Because at the end of the day, and some people, before I get into the story, I got to say this. You can get people on here and say that, hey, you know what? Guys settle too, right? Guys, a lot of guys would be going out with women that are 10s or Victoria's Secret models if they could, but they obviously settle too. The difference is that by and large, most guys, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, they have a realistic picture of what they can get, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of guys that are absolutely delusional. I got a friend who's definitely delusional when it comes to this thing, but most guys have that idea of what they can get. On the other hand, today's most women in the West, and when I say West, I mean in the Western part of the world, not, the West in America, thanks to decades of feminism telling they deserve everything and all the attention and validation they get from guys on social media and dating apps, and it's guys' fault for doing this, they think that they can get the top guys, that they're all entitled to guys that are, 9s and 10s, the way they see guys. Guys are obviously very wealthy, good looking, 6 feet tall, 6 figures, 6-pack, all that, when mathematically it's impossible. And that's just the average ones. The really good-looking ones, they think they're entitled to guys that are billionaires, that have private jets and sail around their own yachts. Okay, that's today's world. And you all know, most of you guys have followed me for a while know what I'm talking about here. So the thing is that, guys, you got to understand through this video, I'm making the point here, is that most women settle. So, and understand also that, by and large, if she settles for you, she's not going to look at you the same, she's not going to treat you the same, and she sure enough is not going to F you the same as she would the guys that she felt like she got a prize. So you have to be aware of this before you actually think that, yeah, I got that great girl. Just be aware of that. All right, I've gone on long enough, so I'm going to get into the story here. So it starts off, we've been together for 2.5 years and practically lived together at this point. She always spends Friday night over, and we have a drink and listen to music together. So last night, I crashed out and fell asleep a bit earlier. I woke up a bit earlier than usual, but still looked asleep, and I could hear her talking to her friend in the kitchen. Now, her friend is having a few relationship problems at this point. Her friend's in her 20s. What kind of relationship problems could she be having? Maybe, just maybe, she's probably picking the wrong guys, the bad boys. He says, I heard her saying, maybe you need, referring to his girlfriend, I heard my girlfriend saying, maybe you need to stop dating these F-boys and lower your standards a bit and date someone you normally wouldn't give someone else, and give someone else a chance. And she says, that's what I did and gave the writer of the story a chance, and I'm grateful I did. Right there, she admitted to her friend, thinking that he obviously was asleep, wouldn't hear this, which was stupid, by the way. that she settled, that he was a guy that she wouldn't give the time of day of before, but because she's getting older, right? And guys, I've said this in the videos, and if you guys are new to the channel, understand here, like I said in the title, the girlfriend here is 28 years old. Okay, a lot of women, when they start getting close to 30, they're terrified because they want to feel like they're on the way to they're either married or on their way to the altar, if indeed that's what they want. And the closer they get to 30, the more they freak out. And that's when often they stop riding the carousel as much, and they go for a guy they wouldn't give the time of day to because they want, their biological clock is going crazy, and they want to have kids and the family. They don't want to feel like losers because, a lot of women have the idea that they turn 30 and they're not on their way to the altar or married. A lot are like this. They think they're losers, which in my opinion is ridiculous because who the hell cares? But that's just what they put about themselves, right? So they'll settle and they'll pick a guy that they know is marriage material. A girl can pick out a guy who's marriage material a mile away, just the way she can pick out a guy who's a bad boy a mile away. So again, like I said in the beginning, if you're the type of guy that ordinarily the girls weren't chasing when you were younger, and all of a sudden they're interested in you, and you really haven't done anything to improve yourself, let's just say you were always a little overweight, and you weren't exactly James Bond with the ladies, you don't make a whole lot of money, and now you're still overweight, and you've lost some hair, and you do okay, but nothing great, all of a sudden a lot of women are attracted to you, and all of a sudden interested, that's because they're looking to settle. That's why. So you need to understand that. And don't delude yourself to think that all of a sudden, now I'm going to win in the end. No, you're not. They're settling. I carried on pretending I was asleep for a while until I actually nodded back off and then went to bed. And when I woke up the next morning and I went to bed, she tried to initiate, you know what, but I wasn't feeling it, so she's gone and went out for a walk instead. I feel so awful hearing that. I mean, I know I'm no Henry Cavill or anything, but I'm not a bad-looking bloke at all. I'd probably say I'm just above average. I dress well, work out, groom myself well, etc. to make the best of myself, but this makes me feel like shit. I was the stereotypical fat kid in my teens, and took me a lot to get over the bullying and name-calling. Well, I don't know what this guy looks like, but in his opinion, he's above average. I've noticed most guys, like I said, most guys are pretty... They don't exaggerate how they are in the looks department. So I'm going to believe this guy. He thinks he's above average, so he probably is above average. But he's doing what he can. He said he was a fat kid when he was younger. He obviously worked hard and was disciplined to lose the weight. And now he says he works out, dresses well, grooms himself, goes to the gym. He's doing pretty much the best he can do with his own body. Now, I don't know what he does for a living. I don't know how much money he makes or anything like that. But I'm going to assume the guy does all right. He goes on... Come to think about it, she's never said anything to me about finding me attractive. She says specific things and complimented me on specifics like my clothes, looking good, beard being well groomed, body being in good shape, and my you-know-what size, but never that she finds me attractive, or good looking, or that I'm sexy. I tell her all those things all the time. Well, pay attention to those little things, guys. You always have to pay attention to just the little details because they actually speak major volumes. And, of course, you have to pay attention to always the red flags. But, what she said there, what I had read, and what he is obviously writing, you have to also read between the lines, okay? And it is 100% obvious that she's settled. I've done enough of these stories, both ones I read online and the guys that you send me, the stories that you guys send me, to be able to read between the lines, know exactly what's going on like that. Plus, not to mention 43 years of life experience on this planet. She's settled, and he feels like shit, and he has every right to feel like shit. He says, it's making me think of our relationship. I feel like it's tarnished. It now, and she's not the person I thought she was. But is that too hasty to be questioning? Should I think about things a bit more? Do I bring this up and mention how hurt I am? Well, if this guy's gut is telling him something's wrong, then I say he should trust his gut. In my opinion, guys, a lot of times in my life, my gut was telling me something, but I didn't listen to it. And then afterwards, something happened and the gut was right, and I regretted it. So I always listen to my gut in a situation, and most of the time I follow my gut, but I also back it up with logic and all that. Always listen to your gut. So in this particular situation, if this guy says something's wrong, doesn't feel right, he had to listen to himself. But, like I said, he probably was one of these guys that never ever thought that women would settle. He probably thought that, hey, I got a girl 9 years younger than me in her 20s because he's in his late 30s. And he thinks that's a win, and she's probably good looking, good body, and above average herself. no guy wants to ever admit or even think that their girl settled for them. But like I said, how many relationships out there, how many marriages end in divorce? Right? Over 60%. And the ones that stay together aren't exactly very great either. And in my opinion, a lot of it has to do, one component of that is that the women settle, okay? And again, the mindset that they deserve so much more better than what they get, right? And again, that's just the average ones. He says, continues, she got home from her walk and I told her what I heard. I then basically asked her, is she not attracted to me? Now listen to her response. Her response was telling. She said she didn't find me ugly at all and wouldn't be with me if I was. But that's not saying that she's attracted to him. I was like, great, but do you find me attractive and are you attracted to me? She then answered with things like she finds it attractive how I dress, how I take care of myself, how kind I am, how much I care about her pleasure, in the you-know-what department, but nothing about my looks. Sounds like when reporters ask a politician who's up on the podium something and they just start rambling on about something else and never ever answer the reporter's question. How many times have you seen a politician or the President of the United States do something like that, right? That's what she's doing. She's not saying that I find you attractive and sexy because she doesn't. If she did, believe me, she would say it, okay? You know, I love this whole thing. You know, I don't find you ugly. And believe me, for a guy that was overweight when he was younger, he said he was a fat kid. Believe me, that type of thing, that really hits hard. It goes on. She said she wasn't... he said, I asked her to basically answer the question. She said she wasn't at first, and I wasn't her type at all. She said she used to go out with the Cristiano Ronaldo-looking boys. Well, I don't know who the hell that is. I'll look him up later. But over time has come to appreciate my looks and has grown attracted to me now. But said for her, she's more attracted to my personality than my looks. She's settled, okay? Look, there are women out there that love older guys. Don't get me wrong here. But if she met him, let's see here, she's 28 now and he's 37. So he said they've been dating for like 2.5 years. So she met him when she was 26 and he was 35, give or take. You know, there's a reason for that, because she was looking for an older guy that can provide, and she was probably done riding the carousel at 26 years old and was looking for something more serious, more promising, that could eventually lead her down the aisle. You know, that's just how it is, at least most of the time. But after a while, you know, and some people say, let me just say this, some people say that, you know, a lot of women will say that, oh, I was just young and stupid. When I got older, then I realized those types, you know, weren't the right types. Well, you know what? Yes, it's accurate that they were when they were younger, they were stupid about that stuff, but that doesn't change their attraction. They're still going to be attracted to the same types, regardless if in here they say, I was stupid for trying to think those guys would settle down and marry me, or think I could get the top percentage guys, but they're still going to be attracted to those types. And after a number of years of marriage, believe me, they're going to start looking elsewhere when they realize they settled for a guy, are bored. They're the types who usually ask for open marriages or end up cheating and all that, or just if they honestly stay true, they're just unhappy as hell. So it's a lose situation, and in this situation, this guy has a right to question this, because if he would stay with her, he's always going to be wondering, you know, did she just settle? Because he had to hear this. It's one thing for him to think this, but he actually heard this, right? And it's not going to go well for the marriage. Now, they're not married yet, but you can obviously see that she's probably hoping for that. I told her I need some time to think about it and asked if she would go home. I just want to be on my own for a bit. She did go home, but has texted me loads, telling me that how she loves me, how sorry she is, how she'll try to make it up to me, etc., etc. I haven't replied, I just don't know. Well, the man needs some space, so she needs to leave him the hell alone. But she's panicking because realizing, holy shit, I spent 2 years with this guy who I thought was a sure thing to walk me down to get married to and get a ring on my finger, but uh-oh. What gets me is my ex used to tell me all the time how sexy I was, how attractive I am, so I know I'm not ugly. But it's the knowing your partner probably isn't into you that hurts you a lot. Hey, I get it, man. So that's the end of his story, and I'm going to get into some of the comments that are down below because they're definitely interesting. But I would say this: if his gut is telling him that this is not right, and you know he deserves better or something like that, then I would tell him, at the very least, tell her he needs some space, and he can think this thing over. And at the end of the day, no matter what his gut is telling me, something's wrong, something's off, end it. Move on. Because he's going to spend the rest of his days, if let's just say he stays with her and eventually, God forbid, actually proposes and marries her, he's always going to wonder. He's always going to be thinking about that, no matter what she says. Because notice, she never ever said, I find you attractive, I find you sexy. She just said, well, I don't think you're ugly. And decided to compliment him on all the other shit and kind of go off in a different direction. Like I said, deflecting the way a politician would with a reporter. But if his gut says no, then he got to end it, okay? And he's in his prime, might add, okay? Because it sounds like the guy's above average, takes care of himself. He's now in his late 30s. 30s and 40s is a man's prime, so he should have no problem getting other women if he wants to. And women that actually tell him these things. Because obviously, if it bothers him that he's not hearing this, then it's obviously, this is not the relationship channel, guys, let me make this clear, but there's this book called The 5 Love Languages or something like that, and everybody seems to have their own love language, like what people say and do to make them feel loved. Okay, again, just bear with me here. It's not the relationship channel. Well, obviously, this guy needs like verbal things being said about his looks and all that shit to make him feel that way. He's not getting it from her. And even if she says at this point, it's not going to mean shit to him. Okay, so I would say think about it for a while. And if the gut still says no, end it, walk away. Move on. Okay, plenty of other options out there if that's indeed what he wants. So, but now I'm going to read some of these comments below. And some are people that agree with him, and some people that don't agree with him. This is from a woman. She says, I agree with you. Once you know someone's settled for you, there's no going back. And this is from a woman's perspective. You can be the best looking man in the world, but knowing that she doesn't find you attractive will slowly eat away at this relationship like rust. Right. He's always going to be thinking about this and always wondering. She says, every day in my life, I feel blessed to have my husband, and I know he feels the same. I do see the point of a relationship. I don't see the point of a relationship if one party is just making do. You can never relax and be assured that you're accepted and appreciated just as you are. Right. Now this one comes from a guy. He says, please don't take these people seriously. He's referring to people in the comment section. Most of them are under the belief that you as a man are lucky to get anything. Your ex told her friend she settled for you, and no one wants to hear that from someone they love. I've heard some horror stories of women settling, and it doesn't get better. See? No matter what, there's this resentment for being good enough. I remember one woman talking about her husband. Lady, it's been 30 years and 2 daughters. Why are you still mad at that he's that short? And the last comment's from a woman. And she doesn't like exactly his perspective. And she disagrees with him. She says, seriously? You broke up with a woman who loves you because she didn't tell you that you're the sexiest man alive? That's not what he's asking, but of course she's blowing out of proportion and getting all dramatic here. If that's all it takes, why aren't you with your ex? Your looks can change. You could be in an accident, get scarred up, go bald, lose a leg, or whatever, and because this woman has looked past the surface and is attracted to more to your looks, she would have been able to deal with whatever life threw at you. What a stupid thing to get hung up on about. Absolutely stupid. Well, the likelihood he's not going to lose a leg, he's not going to get in a tragic accident, or any of those things. So let's, again, with the exaggeration and drama, lady. But no, she's blowing this out of proportion, probably because this guy actually has this woman's number and knows that, guess what, they do this, and she's pissed about it. But the thing is, he doesn't want to be settled for. End of story. Nobody does, okay? And again, a lot of people will argue, oh, guys settle too, women settle, we all settle, blah, 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 blah. We all can't get the top thing we want. Yeah, but there's a degree. Women do it far more, right? And there's another thing to actually hear it. This guy actually heard the girls flat out say, between the lines, she settled. No one wants to hear that, right? This guy could do a hell of a lot better because he said flat out his ex used to compliment him all the time in his looks and everything. I wonder why his ex is the ex, but who knows about that. But the point of the whole story is this, guys. For you guys that actually do relationships or want to do relationships and get married one day, I always warn you about it, but that's your business. Be careful. Be careful if all of a sudden they're giving you a lot of attention when they didn't do it in the past. Okay, be careful that they see you as marriage material and they want that ring and they see you as a sure thing. Be careful because you're not going to be, they may treat you well in the beginning, but once that ring's on their finger and once they can now get half, things can change. You just got to be very careful. Now, on the other hand, if you're a guy in your 30s and 40s, and in your teens and 20s, you weren't exactly a ladies' man, but you took major action to get your body in great shape, to make yourself a lot of money, to do well for yourself, get good assets like a house and good car, and you take care of yourself, and you have a likable personality people like, women like you in general because of not just your looks and what you have, but also your personality, Then if all of a sudden women are paying more attention to you, that's a little different because you've actually done work on yourself. But the guys haven't done anything for themselves, but all of a sudden the women are attracted to and give them the time of day, you have to really question yourself. So be careful, guys. Just another example. This type of thing does happen, okay? So anyway, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.